Run it back for the boys from 69, back for the fans on 12th and Vine. Run it back to back and raise it high.
Hello, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome to the MKE CHIEFScast live from the Wolf Den Special Edition, where we will be joined by a very special guest. As always, I'm Josh.
And I'm Chris. Today on our show, we have Farzin Vousoughian with us today. Welcome to the show, Farzin.
Good to meet you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, you bet. And we are, of course, presented by Complete Weddings and Events, your leading provider of photo, video, DJ, photo booth, lighting, and coordination service. So let's get into the working session of this, gentleman. So, Farzin, biggest question that I think we want to start with is, what has been your transformation in your journey getting into sports journalism? What's your path and story been to get to the point where you're at today?
Yeah, I got pretty lucky. In 2007, when nobody knew what podcasting was, there were a couple of sports websites that had podcasts, and I noticed some of these websites didn't have a Chiefs podcast. So I just approached the people who run one of the websites, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, we're down." And so I started doing that. Got a lot of views in the beginning because there was no other Chiefs podcast at the time. I don't know if you guys remember Bob Gretz.
Yeah,
he's the only one who actually had a Chiefs podcast, but it wasn't like an actual show. It was just him uploading a 60-second Chiefs update daily. So it wasn't like an actual show podcast. So, and then about a year later, doors just opened for me. There was one publication called 435 South Magazine. They've now rebranded to Kansas City Magazine. The editor reached out to me, thanks to my mom, because she knew my mom and wanted me to write for her. And I'm in high school at the time doing this. And then the editor of Kansas City Sports and Fitness Magazine also reached out to me and wanted me to write some pieces from once in a while. So that was a lot of fun to do. And then, one thing after another, just went to college, worked for student newspapers at Johnson County Community College, and then transferred to KU and did all that, interned at 810 during that time. And then, yes, exactly. I like that. The KU journalism. Exactly. But yeah, I interned at 810. And then when I got out of college, I worked for 610 and Bleacher Report and did that for a while. I actually contributed to Bleacher Report in college, but they gave me a part-time job afterwards. So it was a lot of fun while it lasted. I think a lot of you guys know the problem with journalism, especially sports media. The hours can be pretty crappy, not the most fun. There's certainly some stories looking back. It's a fun industry, but there are a lot of hours, a lot of commitment, and little pay for it. And that was just not something I was really willing to do long run. But that's why, I do what you guys do, podcasting, blogging, that kind of thing. Which is cool because now there are thousands of Chiefs podcasts. Mine was the first to hit the web, and now there are a bunch of them, which is awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, thanks for being a pioneer and making the type of stuff that we're doing here on a weekly basis possible. So it sounds like your path went from you took a hobby that you were able to commercialize, and then when it became less of a hobby and more of a job, it got a little less fun. So now you're a super fan, and we love seeing all of your presence online and seeing all your bouncing around downtown KC. So the biggest question that I have based on that is, where did you watch the AFC Championship game?
Oh, at home with my family. We're huge Chiefs fans. I think there might be a couple of games that we did not watch together over the years. I mean, we've always watched together, so we enjoyed that. Definitely a good time. Going back to the Super Bowl, which is kind of hard to believe, doing it 2 years in a row with this team. I never thought I'd ever see one, but now back to back. Definitely excited to see what's going to happen in about 12, 11 days.
Yeah, we were talking about the other night after we did our quick recap after the AFC Championship game. We have a guy in our group who's a professional touring musician. He's part of a Prince cover band, a Billy Joel cover band. He plays the piano and the keyboards in both of those to give you an idea of what kind of chops we're talking about there. But he would always wear a shirt that said "One Before I Die," and that's like a laughable thing at this point. And I think about we're getting ready to plan our Super Bowl party, and I'm going to the place tomorrow to lay everything out, and I was thrilled that I got to plan one of them, and now it's not only two but two in a row. So that's That's
Yeah.
crazy. So when did you know that the AFC Championship was in hand and we were on our way to Tampa?
I had a pretty good feeling. I know a lot of people lost hope early on when they were down 9-0, but you know what's so weird about this football team, and I tweeted this as soon as they were down 9-0. All of our playoff games last year were hard to overcome those instances. I mean 24-0. Think about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest comeback in team history, and that was in a playoff game. If the Chiefs can overcome a deficit like that, not to mention
Well,
they
yeah.
erased that deficit in one quarter.
Like that.
So
man.
to do that kind of thing, yeah, and I think I don't know who I saw a screenshot on Twitter. I think it might have been from ESPN. They posted a list of these hot runs that the Chiefs have gone on over the years. They haven't won all of them, but this team is capable of lighting up the scoreboard in a short amount of time. And this is a team that you just never really count out. They're capable of coming back even when they're down. Look at the Super Bowl last year. I think after that second interception when the 49ers went, and celebrated, a lot of people thought that was in the bag, but this team just didn't give up. Defense stepped up late in the game. Offense got going. Not to get off topic, but I just felt like, honestly, since the beginning, as cliche as that may sound, I thought the Chiefs were going to win that football game.
Yeah, no, I would say that I definitely agreed that 9-0 was a little bit more than just a chance to kind of curse McCole Hardman for dropping the football, and that's really about all that was.
Giving him that touchdown essentially.
Yeah, I mean he handed him a touchdown, and I mean, but if you look at Buffalo's 2 games that they went through their game over the Ravens, they didn't really put any points up in that one, and they didn't really put any points up in this one either. I mean, we gave them 7, of their 15 that was their like functional score until they got that one to kind of make things interesting towards the end. But it's been amazing to me to just watch the defense step up time and time again, and Spagnuolo seems to have stuff going, and he's able to get the guys up for the moment. So moving on to the specific plays, what was your favorite play call or your favorite play watching the AFC Championship?
Oh, man. I mean, we kind of just alluded to McCole Hardman with what he did. I really like that. Well, before the touchdown catch he had, just his teammates picking him up. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it live on TV. I'm sure you guys have all seen the clips that have come out from Showtime or whatever that was, NFL Films, where they all approached him and told him, to kind of get over it and be optimistic. And then next thing you know, they throw that touchdown past them, and then that end around just to kind of boost his confidence and get this team going, showing everyone else that, look, just because you're down 9-0 doesn't mean you're going to roll over. That's not what this football team does. If anything, that's really how they thrive. I don't know if you guys would agree. It's like, I guess it's less concerning when they're behind and more concerning when they're ahead, as funny as that may sound with this football team.
Seriously.
But hey, you know what? It works. That's just how it works with this football team. They've only lost a couple of games over the years. Mahomes' record is 25-1 in the last 26 games. Yeah. I mean, you just know that this team's going to win. That's just the way it is with this football team, which is pretty good luxury to have.
So, do you watch Sporting KC or any other soccer?
No, not really. I can't say I do.
So there's a terminology whenever a team will score, 1 goal and you're going for the 1-0 win, you'll do nothing but drop back and play defense. And kind of the slang term for that is park the bus. And that's kind of what it seemed like the team did the second half of the season. I mean, you think about the Tampa Bay game during the regular season, they just exploded, put up a bunch of points and didn't run the score up. And on some hands, I kind of look at it as Andy Reid's trying to not pull a Sean Payton and, get somebody hurt for the entire season because the Saints kind of run the score up on teams. But at the same time, it's like they just kind of threw away half the season and say, hey, you guys have seen what you need to see. We're going to go 14-2 and call it a day. Is that anything that you've kind of noticed watching all the games, or what was your thoughts on how most of the second half of the season played out?
Well, I actually want to go back because you do raise an interesting point. Do you guys remember the first Chiefs game under Andy Reid in 2013 in Jacksonville?
Yeah,
I do.
28-2,
So that-
right? Yeah.
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 The Chiefs didn't score a touchdown in the second half until late in the game when Tamba Hali picked off whoever the quarterback was, and he was just 2 yards away from the end zone.
right.
So, I mean, that right there, I remember the narrative that week. People were impressed. It was, Andy Reid's debut with the Chiefs, but it was also a thought of, why is it we did so great early on, but didn't score a single offensive touchdown in the second half? And then in 2016, I remember the Chiefs had this weird trend under Alex Smith where they would just score only in one half or one quarter, and that would be enough to win football games. Last year, the second quarter was Kansas City's quarter. I don't know, man. You do raise an interesting point. It's not ideal. You prefer to see consistency for 4 quarters. But not to sound like a broken record, I've said this for a while. It's going to hurt Kansas City at some point, but to be quite honest with you, I've been saying that for more than a year now, and it's not really hurt Kansas City. They do have these inconsistent games, but they're still on top of their opponents more times than not. Look, you've heard the saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And Kansas City right now, they just have control of these football games one way or another.
Yeah, I would say that I agree with you. I mean, we're expecting this to be a problem, but it's not. Maybe it's just not going to be a problem. And I'm cool if it doesn't become a problem. By the way, Blaine Gabbert, Chad Henne, and Ricky Stanzi was the quarterback depth chart for the 2013 Jacksonville team. And interesting that we bring up that game. The beginning of the Andy Reid era is when the majority of our fan group up in Milwaukee came together. There was a small group before that, but we really kind of started to expand during that season. So yeah, good times remembering back to 2013. And so I guess let's get into Super Bowl 55. We're 11, 12 days away from that. So how are you preparing and how are you planning for the party with your family?
Oh man, preparing. I'm just counting down the days. It's going to be a long 2 weeks. That's just how it feels with the Chiefs nowadays, especially when you're so good. You just want it to be Sunday every day. You want to see them play all the time. But no, man, I mean, nothing special planned. Just going to grill some burgers, have some drinks, and hopefully watch another Super Bowl win. I said this last year, and I've said it this week too. If you guys remember, what was it, 10 or 11 years ago, the Saints won a Super Bowl against the Colts when Peyton Manning was with the Colts at the time. If I told you guys at the time that Drew Brees would never win another Super Bowl, nor go to another Super Bowl again, you guys would not have believed me. But look where we are now. Drew Brees has not been to another Super Bowl since then. And look at
Aaron Rodgers too right now.
I was gonna say we live in Milwaukee, and the following year Aaron Rodgers won one, and he hasn't been back, and that's been the real
That's mind blowing.
My point is, this last, hopefully this is not our last Super Bowl. I think we're going to have more with this unit, but you never know. God forbid there could be an injury that takes place. So bask in this moment, because this is what we've been begging for years, and now we're getting it. We are the team. All 31 other franchises want to be us right now. Well, I mean, except for the Bucs, because they want to be that team to pull off the upset. But at this point right now, it's like everyone wants what we have right now. So I know some Chiefs fans have complained a lot about close games this season, not covering the spread and whatnot. First of all, you got to enjoy these close games. That's what makes them memorable. And on top of that, enjoy the moment, because it can go pretty fast. It really does.
Yeah, that's definitely not lost on us. And talking about tension in games, we're going to get into this more as it goes. But think back to the Kansas Jayhawks basketball championship. And what's the play that you remember from that? I know that I was with Brian, and Brian, tell me about when we almost broke my coffee table.
Well, if I recall, that was so yeah. When I see people ask me where I was at for Mario's Miracle, I believe I was with you in Denver, and it was where I think it was the last 2 minutes. I was pretty dejected and looking at my phone and just not very happy with the world. And then, we all know, we've all seen the replays. We all know what happens. And I think you shut out the loudest yell I've ever experienced ever. And I think it was like, was a 1-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom at the time? And
It was two. It was two.
It was 2-bedroom. It was just
Garden view. It was great.
But yeah, I believe it was just it was pandemonium in that I think we were the only people excited. Well, there's a few Jayhawk fans in Denver, but they're few and far between than here in Lawrence. But yeah, if I recall correctly, we got pretty loud in that apartment complex.
Yeah, I mean, we basically missed the high five, and I'm catching him from falling on this glass coffee table. I'm like, I don't want to find out what broken glass looks like. Chris, where were you for that? Because I know that we were all watching that. So where was everybody at? We need to get this out of the way.
We were. I don't know if the old Chicago on Iowa and 23rd is still there, but we watched every game of the tournament there, and I actually showed up there like I think 1 PM to make sure we had a table by the bar. But that was we were just packed like sardines in old Chicago.
Farzin, where were you at for that game?
I was in high school at the time, so
Okay.
Nice.
just watching it at home with family. Certainly thought it was over, like a lot of other people. And when they started cutting the deficit, you thought, okay, maybe there's a chance. Kind of funny you even mentioned that because, the Jayhawks, the Royals, the Chiefs, their road to championships is kind of interesting. A lot of similarities there. Never really thought of that before.
Yeah, and it's been a ride. So let's talk about the other play that I think everybody remembers where they were. Talk about watching Wasp.
I mean, same place, watching with my family. I remember just seeing that play. And it's funny because when you watch like the NFL films, extras, they show Mahomes and Bieniemy talking about it. It was Mahomes who suggested that. So to know what we know now about that play, it's kind of crazy to know. I mean, he was the one who called that. And Bieniemy, whoever he's talking to, I'm guessing it's Andy Reid, he goes, "Hey, he wants to run Wasp. Can we do it?" And I remember right there when Tyrel made that big catch, I thought, okay, it looks like we're going to do this. So I still remember that.
Yeah.
That was the exact vibe that we had in our room. I think we had what, Chris, probably 125 people packed into a room in a bar.
Yes.
So where we watch our games, we have a Buffalo Wild Wings in one of the suburbs up here in the Milwaukee area, and we've got a room that holds 60 people. I think we had probably 70 or 80 in that room.
Oh yeah, we were definitely
awesome.
past max capacity. Yeah.
So we had about 70 or 80, and then there was another probably 30 or 40 out in the bar that we're trying to keep, somewhat engaged and everything. And when that happened, it's trying to make sure all the DJ equipment that we had set up and all the lighting that we brought in just wasn't falling over. It was crazy, but yeah, definitely the vibe of, we're going to actually do this. And that game, obviously we knew going in against the Niners was going to be a slugfest and everything. And I think we need to be prepared for what the Buccaneers defense has done during the playoffs. And then also just the fact that we're going against Tom Brady, and regardless of 43 or whatever, the dude's playing in his 10th Super Bowl. He's going for his 7th win. There's obviously the mountain to climb. So what are the keys to the victory to walk out of here with a 2nd Lombardi trophy and victory? What are the keys?
I think your defense needs to play, as cliche as it may sound, got to play their best game of the year. Yeah, I know it sounds obvious to say, but this has been a defense that has had some inconsistencies in the regular season under Spags. But in the playoffs, man, they turn it up. They really do. Tyrann Mathieu's been playing very well. Frank Clark's been doing better the last couple of games. I know a lot of people have complained about his inconsistency. Chris Jones, I know he didn't have a whole lot on the stat sheet last game, but he was out there, pressuring Josh Allen at times. So he's capable of doing some things to beat offensive linemen and to get into the pocket. So you got to do that. The thing about Josh Allen is he is capable of moving very well. Brady, being much older and not as capable of that. So if you break that pocket, you better take him down because you're not going to have any opportunities. But the Buccaneers do have a pretty good offensive lineman. And then when you look at the offensive side, what are you going to say? I mean, Mahomes, Kelce, Tyreek Hill, everyone's going to come up with that game plan there. But the loss of Eric Fisher is brutal, and Mitchell Schwartz, it's pretty doubtful he comes back. We're not really sure exactly what's going on with him. I know there have been rumors online and whatnot, but I don't think anything's been confirmed. But you know what, man? I'm still confident. offensively, because if there's one thing Patrick Mahomes really does a great job of, I know a lot of people will say his accuracy, the deep passes and whatnot. To me, it's his awareness, especially when he's under pressure. I think I've seen some crazy stat where he has I think only 2 interceptions and a bunch of touchdowns. I don't know exactly what the number is. If you have like Pro Football Focus or one of those premium websites, you'd be able to find out. But he's got some absurd touchdown to interception ratio when under pressure. So it's almost like, in a weird way, this is just something he welcomes and will embrace in a couple of weeks when the game starts. So it's more ideal to have Eric Fisher, Mitchell Schwartz, all your offensive linemen. It's been kind of a tough year for that unit, but you know what, man? Mahomes knows what to do. He knows when he needs to run out of the pocket. He'll do it only when he has to. So even though it's a really tough loss for the Chiefs, and you feel for Eric Fisher, man, because he's worked hard for this team over the years and he's really improved.
Exactly.
But you know what, man? I'm still confident that Mahomes will be just fine with the offensive line that we're going to see in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up the Mahomes passer rating under pressure because I know that he's the highest rated passer under pressure. That doesn't really tell the whole story. Trying to look that up, but yeah, definitely he thrives under pressure, and kind of the formula to beat Tom Brady is to put pressure on him. So I'm right there with you. It got to get that pressure up the middle. It's got to come from the front four. You know, Frank Clark and Chris Jones need to have the games of their lives like they did last year during the Super Bowl. And what I think would be interesting is to see Chris Jones maybe even top that, because there was a lot of writers that were sitting there saying that Chris Jones very easily could have laid claim to the MVP trophy that Mahomes took for the Super Bowl last year. And I think that Mahomes would pretty gladly hand that over if that's what happens again. So the next question that I have is, we're actually going to skip ahead. Who do you think your MVP for the game is going to be? I think we're all on the same page. We're expecting the Chiefs to win. We'll get into scores here in a little bit, but who do you think is going to be the MVP for this game?
You know what? I think just because of what he's done and how much he really does get involved, I'm going to go with Travis Kelce. I think this is someone that, he knows how to fire up his teammates. Look what he did to McCole Hardman. He was the first one from the camera shot that we saw live on TV. It looked like he was the first one that walked over to McCole Hardman and got him motivated and tried to give him some confidence. So, this is a guy who's always going to fight with his teammates to the end. And I think Travis Kelce is going to go out there and have a pretty big game. And I think he's going to be the one who gets the MVP.
Is he going to fight for his right to party?
After the game, yes.
Yes. Okay. Chris, who are you looking at for MVP?
I'm going to go with Mahomes. I'm going to go with the obvious answer, but one guy started to flash last week that I'm looking forward to see how he does against the Bucs trying to throw the ball down the field is Juan Thornhill, because I think he is starting to come back into form, and that's going to be really important if we're going to blitz Brady and Brady's going to try to throw down the sideline. I think Juan Thornhill can really play center field in this game.
Ryan, who got as an MVP?
No, I think the easy money, probably the safe money, is Mahomes, assuming all things go as normal. But I do want to point out that Farzin has brought up a few times. My favorite thing on the internet today has been that video. Josh, I think you shared it on Facebook about where they picked up the players after that muffed punt return. We dropped them out the punt. And watching, because I remember talking with my wife, Tanya, and she's like, what do you think they're saying? I'm like, I bet you they're just lacing into him. And boy, was I wrong. No, they're lifting him up and they're trying to be like, no, a lot of plays left to be made. Yeah, I think that Mahomes is like, be you. We know what you can do. You know what we're capable of doing. We've been here before. Focus. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not. Don't put me on a professional team, because I think I would expect my friends to lace into me and tell me never to do that again. But it turns out people are supportive, so that's good. I think that's a better. That's a better long-term system right there. But in terms of MVP, I just how can I not say Mahomes on this one?
I'm glad to know that you would expect a ton of negative feedback from people like me.
I know my friends. I'm pretty sure.
I thought I was nicer than that, but apparently not. I'm expecting that we're going to get a really interesting defensive MVP. And by saying that means that the game is going to be somewhat close and there's going to be a play. So I'm going to go Dirty Dan Sorenson is going to make a play and be the MVP. It might be a pick six. It might be, a similar play against the Browns where he knocks the ball out across the pylon. Because I think if you go to that Browns game, that would probably be who the pick would be Sorenson. So I think it would be an interesting situation like that. So I'm gonna go dark horse and interesting, but I definitely could see Kelce getting a season achievement award, and I could definitely see Mahomes just getting it because we're helping him collect hardware at this point. So let's get into predictions for the final score of the game. I'm gonna say 27-24 again, like the regular season game, and that's how we end up with the defensive MVP. Farzin, what do you think the final score is going to be?
I think it's going to be high scoring. I think whoever wins this game is going to have to score 40 points. I'm going to go Kansas City in this one, 41-35.
Okay. Chris, what do you got?
My initial thought is I think it's going to be a one-score game. I'm going to go probably 34-28.
Okay. Brian?
I'm in the same, I think, close to what Chris is saying there too. Probably 35-21. 35-31. I'm sorry, 35-31. Somewhere in there. So yeah, close.
So we know what Tom Brady big playoff games look like. We know what the AFC Championship game 2 years ago looked like. So let's think of the scenario. There's 2 minutes left in the game. Farzin, do you picture Brady having the ball and the defense making a stop and finally putting an end to him and his I guess mythical always getting it done? Or is it a situation where the defense makes a play at 4 minutes and then Mahomes gets the ball at 2 minutes and finishes the whole Greek God tour? So what are we looking at?
I'd love to say the former, because it'd be so cool to see the defense kind of put it into it, kind of similar to last year's wild card game between the Titans and the Patriots, where the Titans came away with that pick in the end zone, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, pick six.
Yep.
Yeah, I would prefer the latter, though. It's just the only game from the top of my head I can think of where Mahomes did not come through with the ball in his hands inside 2 minutes might be that Rams game, that crazy Monday Night Football game. Other than that, I think anytime he's been asked to, manufacture a game-winning drive, he's been able to do it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't think of any other time where he's failed outside of that Rams game. I think that's the only one. So more times than not, he is going to win you that football game in the end. So I would certainly prefer that he has the last opportunity.
Yeah.
Chris, it sounds like you're leaning the same way. What are you picturing?
I'm famous last words of a head coach is I trusted my defense in that spot. So it's no offense to our defense, but I do not want Tom Brady anywhere near the football in the last 2 minutes. I'd rather have Mahomes with the ball.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go for it.
Did you guys see the Raiders game against the Dolphins where they got eliminated from playoff contention with the face mask and all that crazy stuff in the end?
Game?
Yeah. So John that game said the reason he was trying to be very conservative with the clock is because he thought of what Patrick Mahomes did in that game to the Raiders on Sunday Night Football. So it's like, it's pretty much like head coaches around the league, and John Gruden's been in the league for a long time. Everyone knows that Mahomes is capable of winning the football game for you in the end. So, we obviously want Mahomes out of the football in the end. All 31 other teams want it to be the other way around. So, what kind of magic he's capable of doing in the end. So, it makes you feel more, lucky, I guess, to have him on your team.
Well, it's like Gene Hackman's character in The Replacement says, winners normally want the ball. And Shane Falco asked for the ball in that one. So
Right.
I'll throw it to you at this point, Brian, after a Replacements reference.
Oh, yeah. I love a good 90s, right? 90s reference. I love a good 90s reference.
It was late 90s, early 2000s.
Early 2000s, okay.
Close enough.
These decades run together at this age now. Now that you've mentioned it, I kind of had a cold sweat break out. The idea of Tom Brady having the last drive of the game, it's actually kind of making me cringe a little bit and scared. So, I don't want to, and I don't want to see that. I guess that kind of goes back to the previous there was a Chiefs and Patriots a few years ago. Remember that drive? We were off sides. Remember that? And it was just
We remember it. Go on.
yeah. And that just kind of gave me that flashback there. So I don't want to live through that again. So if that has to happen, could at least be up by 17 points, and then I'd be fine with that. So,
I'm fine with that.
that's my
17 up, and Brady's going, and he knows he's got to score 2 touchdowns and a field goal. I think we can all live with that as well. So we're all ride or die with the Chiefs. We're all expecting them to win, but we think that the Bucs are gonna show up and have a good game plan. Which it's a team with Tom Brady. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. So let's pivot a little bit to other Eastern Kansas related type of places. So we got KU, and I know that this is a very KU positive thing, and so we're going to go ahead and not apologize to anybody who doesn't like KU. So Farzin, as a KU grad and I'm sure a lifetime fan, who is your favorite Jayhawk player any sport your entire time being alive?
Oof. I'm more of a football fan than a basketball fan, even though our basketball team is more successful. I've got to go with Gayle Sayers, and I'm a little biased
Sure.
for that because I did have the honor of interviewing him my senior year at KU. Super nice guy.
Wow.
He and his family were actually all there for the interview. His wife was super sweet. She was very excited for that. And, of course, we miss him. He passed away a couple of months ago, but what he did to kind of just put KU football on the map at the time. And, this is somebody who did not get a lot of opportunities when he was trying to get a scholarship and going to the NFL. Certainly made a lot of noise with the Chicago Bears during that time frame in the NFL. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was drafted by the Chiefs in the AFL. So, who knows how that could have gone. But yeah, I definitely would have to go with Gayle Sayers.
Wow, Kansas comic. Good call. Great
that is a
story,
good call.
by the way. So I want to dig a little bit more into that. So you interviewed Gayle Sayers. This is when you were in high school?
No, college.
Oh, in college. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
how did you pull this off? Talk about landing an interview with Gayle Sayers.
It's funny. I was talking to my instructor, and I just was just BSing. I go, it'd be really cool to interview Gayle Sayers. He goes, there's a girl in our class. Her nickname's Q. She goes, Q is Gayle Sayers' niece. I'm like, no, she isn't. He goes, yeah, she is. I'm like, what? And so, being the kind of person I am, I want to get this interview. I became really good friends with Q, got to know her, introduced myself. I said, hey, I'm a huge fan of Gayle Sayers. I would love it if I could interview him sometime. And a couple of weeks later, she said, we can make it happen. And he actually came by for the spring game that weekend. So I still remember that Friday is when we got to do it. So that was pretty cool. I remember KU put that on the front page of their newsletter that they emailed to all the students and I believe alums and faculty members, whatnot. So that was pretty cool. That was definitely a fun experience. It was just a couple of weeks before graduation, and I can safely say that's the best college memory for me.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. So what was your favorite Jayhawk team in eSport?
Oh man. I'd have to go with the years when you had Kirk Heinrich and Nick Collison. I know they didn't come through with the championship in the end, but that was such a fun basketball team to watch. They made it to the Final Four one year and then made it to the championship the next. Obviously you would have wished for a different ending, and unfortunately that was the end of Roy Williams. But then you got Bill Self, who came over to Kansas and just kind of made things seem like how they were before. And when you're a Kansas fan, Kansas has only had 8 coaches, if I remember correctly, and this team's had great consistency along the way. So it's pretty good to see that kind of success with Kansas basketball for sure.
Yeah, another thing, just kind of live in the moment and realize that it's still going. Long time later, it's still going. Chris, who's your favorite Jayhawk?
Kirk Heinrich. I still contend that the best Jayhawk basketball team that I saw was the 01-02 team that had Gooden, Collison, Simeon, Langford, Miles, Heinrich. So it's too bad they couldn't get past Maryland that Final Four. But I loved Kirk Heinrich when he was playing, and I was actually really excited when he got drafted by the Bulls.
Yeah,
I remember that night. But yeah, funny thing is I actually went to college with Kirk Heinrich's girlfriend. at Northwest Missouri State. She ran track. So they actually they didn't go to school together, but they stayed together.
Nice.
Yeah.
And your favorite team was that 2001 team?
Yeah, I'd have to say so. I just think that team was so stacked. It's just too bad they couldn't break through.
Yeah. Brian, player and team.
Wow. Now I've been kind of ever since you introduced that question a few minutes ago. I'm trying to rack my brain here. In terms of, favorite player. I mean, I kind of want to buck the trend and go kind of Todd Reesing over here.
There you go.
He's my second favorite. Yeah.
I mean, if you're thinking the football route, basketball route. Oh gosh. You put Mario. I sat behind Mario Chalmers, one of my classes. I remember that. That was kind of a cool experience. And then there was I'm trying to think. I DJ'd Tyrel Reed's wedding.
I was gonna say, didn't you DJ Tyrel Reed's wedding and had to keep Cole Aldrich in control?
Yeah. He's freshly into the NBA. Runs in. I'm like, oh, I have to go corral this really tall NBA player to come back out. So I got to announce him. And nice enough. They're just having fun. And Bill Self was walking around. I remember DJing. I'm like, oh god, if I can just see him dance YMCA, that'd be really funny. I just kind of want to see that. That did not happen. I think he was in and out. I don't know how long he stayed for, but I remember there's just a bunch of KU ball players in there. And so but in terms of memories that I remember, obviously I was there I was with you, Josh, whenever Mario did his thing, and but I remember going to watch Todd Reesing, and whenever we were as competitive as we were in the football for that little stretch we had there, actually watching them play Mizzou, even though we fell to Mizzou, but still being in that presence of at Arrowhead, that was just a lot of fun. And so that's a lot of fun memories of that.
Brian, do you DJ a lot of events, or?
I did back when I was in college, back in those years of it's from 2003 or 4 to like 2012. I was probably doing weddings every other weekend. I did a lot of Lawrence. I was at Maselli's quite a bit on the weekends. So every Saturday I was probably if I wasn't at Maselli's, I was at the country club here in Lawrence or something like that. So yeah, a lot of DJing.
Nice. Cool. No, I was just curious because I used to everyone calls it DJing, but it's technically not DJing, but I used to be the audio director for the Kansas City Royals, and I did it briefly with the Chiefs. So that was pretty fun. I had no DJing experience. They were looking more for people that had radio background, like running a radio board. But that was a pretty fun experience. I was just wondering if you had done anything like that before.
Did you ever do KJHK stuff?
I did. Yes.
I had a Friday night show back in those days as well with a couple of guys. We probably graduated with they were journalism students as well. So we had a political talk show. Went from like 5 to 6 KJHK, and that was fun because we're breaking. I mean, there's a lot of the political shows, they dump news at 5 p.m. on a Friday, and we're on from 5 to 6, so we get all these like news dumps. Like, oh hey, we're gonna talk about this messed up stuff.
No, KJHK is a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun memories there for sure. I don't know if you guys did Chris, you said you went to KU also, right?
I went to graduate school there.
Okay. Did you do KJHK or anything like that?
Nope. No, I was a science major. So I didn't. Yeah.
Well, the reason I was going to add, Brian, I don't know if you knew this. Sorry. You cut out for a second.
Oh, go for it.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, Brian, I don't know if you knew this, but unfortunately, the year I became the assistant sports director, they decided to cut back on all of the sports shows. So instead of having a sports show once a night, Monday through Fridays, they cut it back to just once a week. And basically, a lot of the other shows were just online, basically like a podcast, which was not a lot of fun to do because everyone wanted that live radio experience. And their explanation was that, sports radio from student media is not good quality. And I thought was, we're all students here. We're all learning to try to do it professionally, which I thought was BS. I was upset about it. There were actually some past KJHK guys. Do you know who Pat Strothman is? Super tall guy, 6'7".
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. He was a sports director one year at KJHK. He even, even though he graduated, he was trying to fight for the sports staff. I don't know what's going on now. I don't know anyone at KU, but I hope they've restored sports shows because, think about it. You're KU. You have a basketball team there that, you should be talking about every day. weeknights, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you knew about that.
I am not. I'm not up to
KU
date
should
with
be
that.
feeding content to national media when it comes to basketball coverage. I mean, that's crazy.
That makes
Yeah.
also I sneer at the concept of it's not up to quality. I'm like, yeah, it's college students
Oh,
learning
and like all the professional
Yes.
stuff is, it's like, give me a break, you know.
Yeah.
trying to get good.
There's
yeah.
crap out there everywhere at every level. What are you talking about?
Pretty much.
Have you seen First Things First?
Yeah.
Yeah, with
I
Nick
like
Wright.
first
Yeah.
things first.
Yeah.
Exactly. crap quality.
It's hilarious though. I love that. I mean, it's that's a bunch of guys sitting around drinking beer, talking sports, and that's what I like about it. You know, him and Brandon Marshall just have this like blatant disrespect for each other. They talk over the host the whole time. I love it. It's great.
Oh man, I remember when Nick Wright was on 610. Back when I
Yes.
was,
Too, sure.
yeah,
With that.
used to listen to
You
him
know
all the
what's-
time then.
You know what's funny? I actually did not know that there was another radio station outside of 810 until I heard this rumor that
Oh yeah.
Soren Petro and Nick Wright just like went at it apparently at the Chiefs practice facility. They got into like a big fight or something.
Hmm.
And Nick Wright just basically like
I can
opened up
see that.
about that on his radio show, which I thought was funny.
That's awesome. So
Interesting.
let's talk a little bit more about being music director for the Royals. So what years was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so funny enough. We were talking about me being in journalism. I was not happy with 610. I wasn't getting a lot of hours. In fact, the new person at 610, the new producer, had to work this really crappy 1 hour shift on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. It was a paid programming show. They needed a producer, and whoever the newest person was had to work that. And I thought, all right, this is me, working my way up. I'll do it. And I had to train the next person who was new, and the guy was not getting it at all. So I had to keep producing that, which sucked. And it got to the point, funny enough, my boss at 610 got an email saying, hey, the Royals are looking for people. He sent it to every producer on staff. And I later found out, it was $30 an hour, whereas the 610 is $9 an hour. So even though it's a seasonal job, I thought, I need to, I'm not really happy here, and I kind of need to take this. So I was happy I did. And it was a lot of fun, man. I was not very good at it in my first year. It was my first time doing any kind of DJing or anything similar like that. I really learned the concept after my first season that, look, you got to play upbeat music. I get a lot of text messages from people saying, hey, can you play this song or this song? It's like, these are all great songs that people are suggesting, but you got to play good stadium music. You got to play something that people can dance to, because you got to keep in mind, in between innings, if there's still a break, the cameramen are going to be showing fans up on the video board, and you want them to be able to dance to something. So, one of my favorites was Jump Around by House of Pain. Anytime we're on a run or on a rally, I would always play that song, and every single person in the stadium is jumping. Literally, like, that is the perfect way to just get captivate the audience and kind of get them into it. So, no, that was pretty fun. I did that for about 4.5 seasons, I think, and I'll say, man, it's the most fun job I've ever had. It's pretty cool to be able to write the music.
That's
and
cool.
kind of do all that behind the scenes kind of thing.
So you kind of answered part of the next question that I was going to ask. Brian was a wedding DJ. I'm still a wedding DJ, and so I totally understand.
Oh, okay.
What you're talking about. And I'll normally play music for the big primetime games and the commercial breaks and stuff, because nobody needs to see what's on TV for our watch parties. So my question was going to be, what were the big bangers that you always got the crowd going with? And I'll tell you that for me personally, Jump Around has always been my go-to. Somebody walks up to you, puts a gun against your head, and says, you have to get 150 people on a dance floor, and you don't get to play a line dance. If you can play a line dance, it's Cupid Shuffle, but you can't play a line dance. Jump Around's the song. Grandma will come out and jump around. So what were the other bangers that got everybody up
Oh man,
in the area you were in?
Yeah, a lot of people. I'm not. Here's the thing: in a setting like that, you've got to play music that other people like. And so I had to do some research to see, what is popular, because I'm not the most well-versed person when it comes to music. That's something I definitely learned in my first year when I was working there because I wasn't very good at it my first season with the Royals. But a lot of people just love Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake. It's so easy to dance to. In fact, I remember one occasion we had like a long there was a play that was being under review and it was taking a long time. And usually when that happens, you just have to play music while you wait for the umpires to make a call. So I'm playing Can't Stop the Feeling and I'm about to change a song and my cameraman goes, Farzin, you made this girl's dream. You made this girl's day. And I look at his monitor to see what that cameraman's shooting. And it's a girl with Down syndrome who's dancing to the song. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to leave it. You know, she's enjoying it. She's enjoying the music. So why not? So, you know, music like that. Another one that will easily get the audience going. Almost anything from jock jams. Again, the key is to do it during a rally because that's when fans really get into it. And gosh, there's one from Pitbull. I can't think of the name right now. Gosh, I can't think of the name, but there are a couple of Pitbull songs. But there's
Coyote. I know you want me. No,
no, not that song.
Hey, don't stop the music.
Yes, that one. That one.
Yeah.
That gets a lot of people. People get into it for sure. So music like that definitely helps get the audience on their feet.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we've covered we covered all the Kansas City sports. So you don't really watch any sport in KC, right? So we don't need to cover them at all. Okay. So we've covered the Royals, we've covered the Chiefs, we've covered KU. There aren't any other Kansas college sports that I think we need to talk about from a D1 standpoint. So I guess one more thing before we go. So all the time as a music director for the Royals, what was your favorite game or favorite play that you were running music for?
Oh,
like best memory of that.
That's easy. I've got to go with I think it was 2016. We were losing to the White Sox by like 5 or 6 runs in the 9th inning. And, you know,
that was over Memorial Day weekend, I think.
Yes, I think you are right. Yeah, that does sound
that was awesome.
And I remember usually when the Royals, what they'll do is they'll play like these they'll put something on the video board where it says "Get Loud," and we have corresponding music that goes with that. But they weren't really playing any of that because we were losing by 6. And I thought, you know what, I'll still play, you know, "Let's Go Royals" and like I was still doing those drops there. And, you know, we just got one base runner after another. And then we got one run after another. And we're all kind of just like looking at each other. We're like, we should probably start playing, you know, some pump up music here to kind of get the team into it. So, and then I remember, I think the guy's name was Brett Eibner. He had just been called up a couple of days before, and he got the game-winning RBI, which was awesome. And everyone in the stadium was into it. Our entire control room just went nuts when that happened. So that was pretty cool. I'd have to say that's my favorite game.
How responsible did you feel for the win that day?
I don't know, man. I try not to take too much credit for that kind of thing. I will say, you know, it's one of those. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I will say it's one of those things, man, where it's like if you're playing good music, no one cares about, you know, what you're doing. But if you play a song that just sucks, your bosses will let you know about it for sure. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. So we had this tradition, and we didn't want to overuse it. We would maybe do it every other inning if we're having a good game, if our pitcher is having a good game. But if you guys ever played the game Mortal Kombat, I never did, but I guess
yes, we did.
Put a lot of time into it.
I still remember the blood code. Yeah.
I guess there's a character who says "Mwahaha, finish him." We would play that, and then we do the slow clap. Anytime there was 2 strikes and 2 outs. And I remember my director in my ear would go, "Okay, 2 strikes, 2 outs." And I'm thinking, "Oh, 2 strikes, 2 outs." So I did it. Finish him. And Salvador Perez is batting.
Nice.
Oh shit.
No, not nice. That's a guy on our team.
Oh God. Oh dear God.
And
I caught that. I caught that. This is like a everyone slow motion.
Everyone is like, no one noticed anything for a few seconds, but everyone's like, Farzin, Salvador Perez is batting. I'm like, oh, I turned down the board immediately. And Dayton Moore's assistant
Please tell me you
texted
found
my
you in the
boss.
parking lot.
Dayton Moore's boss texted, or excuse me, Dayton Moore's assistant texted my boss, and he goes, "That better be a new person." And my boss goes, "Yes, it is a new person." So he definitely covered for my ass that night. I actually got text messages from people saying that Twitter is complaining, and I go, "Damn it, I am avoiding Twitter. I'm not going."
I didn't know I was doing anything right.
Yeah.
Twitter's complaining.
Oh, that is something. That's quite a story.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Twitter's
I'm
not
full
happy.
sweat.
What are we
I
gonna do?
I'm full
Yeah.
sweat right now just thinking about that.
Oh my
God.
God, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well,
You know
that's definitely a story you're gonna tell your grandkids. That's funny.
Yeah. You know what's funny is you know, and you know, there were times where, you know, I'd fill in, there was someone else would fill in, whatever. There was one weekend where I was in Mexico, you know, just having a margarita, having a damn good time, and I'm getting a bunch of text messages and Facebook messages from people saying, "Why are you playing Britney Spears?" And I'm thinking, keep in mind, you know, I've had a few drinks, so I have
I'm
no
having
idea.
margaritas. I'm hitting baby one more time. What are you talking about?
I'm asking these people, I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Britney Spears. They go, "You're playing Britney Spears up right now," and I'm kind of looking around. I'm looking at my glass. I'm like, "What are these people talking about?" And then the next morning, I realized, oh, they think I was at the stadium. So it's always funny, you know, what the nights I didn't work, there were some crazy things that would happen at the stadium, and people would ask me, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm not at the stadium. You tell me what's going on." So that was always interesting.
I'm guessing that somebody was at the game and they drank too much beer.
Mhm.
Accurate?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I think we're all on the same page. Chiefs are winning another Super Bowl this week. We're finally going to have 3. We're going to be equals with our AFC West compatriots, and we'll get to running it back again next year. And until then, from the CHIEFScast, good night.
So run it back for the boys from 69, back for the fans on 12.